What's up, guys? So apparently two chapters of Toriko were released at once this week, which is amazing. This is my review and discussion on the first chapter. I already read it, but I'm gonna do a play-by-play. I will discuss it as I go through the chapter. And because Toriko is currently one of my most favorite manga, um, at least as of the current chapters being released in comparison to the other series I'm doing reviews on, I will be doing a live review when I have the time of the next chapter which was released, which is 281. So without further ado, this is 280's discussion. And so actually, I want to just start off the bat, assuming you guys have read it already, with a comment. First and foremost, before I make that comment, on the first panel of the first page, if you look at Toriko's pocket handkerchief, well, it's not a pocket handkerchief. You know those pockets on the jackets? Well, if you look at his jacket, I don't know if this was a gag or done on purpose. Well, it was obviously done on purpose, but maybe it was just like a funny gag. But he has like little accessories on the pocket that makes the pocket look like it's also surprised along with all the characters, which I just thought was kind of funny, but it's a little irrelevant. Anyhow, my comment. So in this chapter, obviously, the revelation is made that the currency in the gourmet world is food. The rarer and more delicate the food is, the more the better chance you have of trading it. It's worth more money, and therefore currency itself is, for lack of a better term, not used. Food is the currency, which I think, in a realistic governing society, doesn't really make sense. Like, currency is better than food, but then we get into economics, which a lot of people watching this probably don't know too much about or care too much. But long story short, if the farmer has a certain thing and he wants milk, he can't trade his thing to that guy who's selling milk if the guy doesn't want what he has, if he makes coats. And that's why currency comes about. And so my whole opinion on currency is it's vital. But then again, the fact that the gourmet world is so vast and it's pretty much a wilderness, and it pretty much implies that they're still living on a primitive village level with not a lot of connection to other villages, means that currency isn't really necessary. Anyhow, that's my whole spiel, and the point of the spiel was that I was confused this whole chapter. Each time it was brought up, and it was brought up many times because they bought a lot of stuff, they ate a lot of food in these places, and it was clear that they had to buy these items, and they had to buy food, and they had to buy these accessories, these goods, these trinkets. Where did this all come from? Because it was even noted in this chapter that, hey, we didn't get any high quality foods to trade as currency. And I'll get back to this as I'm going through this chapter, but I was just like, what the heck's going on? Obviously, they somehow managed to do it. Maybe they brought some food along after all, which wasn't really mentioned, or maybe, like, what confuses me is all this food looks like it looks very rare and unique, so you have to trade some high quality stuff to get this food as currency. But obviously there's a few loopholes which I don't think work, because I'll explain later. But one of them, like the whole idea of using this sort of like even if this food was cheap, like, sure, that's true, but it still comes back to, where did you get these food items to trade as currency to buy these stuff in the Bewitching food world? Enough of my rant. I very much liked the rest of the chapter, though. I thought it was entertaining. So the first page, just the art itself, although it's slightly sloppy, you could tell it's somewhat rushed, but not really. And the last panel, how Toriko is drawn, it's just very, not Toriko, Komatsu's drawn, it's just very anime-esque, manga-esque, very simplistic. But other than that, I mean, compared to a very prominent manga, Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, which are done by the same author, and both of which are top-selling manga of all time, this is very well drawn and very articulate and detailed, and it's great. It's a very unique way of drawing manga. Every manga artist has its own eccentricities and idiosyncrasies, and this one for sure. And I very much like how Toriko is drawn, and it's, you could tell it how he's drawing now is a lot different from when he started. Like, think about it. For those fans of Toriko out there who were reading chapters 1 and 2, you know it was a lot different. In chapters 1 to 100, the Toriko drawings in the manga, I'm not talking the anime, because the anime came later, and it's a lot more clear and crisp, similar to how the manga is drawn now. But first 100 chapters, it was very much drawn like how traditional Chinese artwork was somewhat drawn in a certain way. That's how I would describe it. But anyhow, like, just admiring this first page, like how the rain droplets aren't rain droplets, but these sort of ghostly little spectrums falling from the sky. Like, it's just amazing. And on top of that, I definitely think that from what was implied by the name of this place and the characters and how Barachi described his village and so forth and everything, it was right on the dot pretty much, give or take. I thought it'd be a little bit more spooky and dark. It turned out to be like a very bright version, but the general theme of this Halloween-esque village and Halloween-esque environment was spot on. And I found this amazing, considering that this is definitely a Japanese cultural manga, and this whole idea that it wasn't really explicitly described as Halloween. Whoever translated this and translated the name as Bewitching Food World, I thought that was spectacular, because that's a very American word. In my opinion, it's somewhat of a slang word, bewitching. And so whoever translated that, it was spot on. It's perfect to describe this place. And like, moving on to the next page, this whole idea with this spectrum ghost-like firework, like, the whole thing's just amazing, and then you step into this world, and then you see Tengu Barachi, who has now, not as he was first introduced as somewhat of a villain, obviously a rebel, but a bit of a potential villain, has now turned into someone who is their ally and friend, which is, I just found very amazing. And he's like, tonight we feast, and he's got all these chefs, and you get the first glimpse of what these characters are like in a this Bewitching Food World, and you see that they're ugly and strange, like he described them. And then you get the sloppy image of the restaurant. Why is it sloppy? Because it literally looks like he sketched it out with black and white pen, didn't really fill it in or color it or do anything. It may be because he had to do 2 chapters this week, I don't know. But other than that, like, we flip to the next page, boom. This drawing in itself, quite amazing, just the octopus. The way the octopus is drawn in a lot of these is very detailed, in my opinion, and just very, it just describes this author as a manga artist. It's just very, very much how he would like to draw these things. And so, okay, here the frog starts describing, did you bring any ingredients? And he's like, why do you ask? And he's like, well, it's a barter system. Food is pretty much currency. And like, okay, so they don't explicitly state that they didn't have food. And sure, they probably got a lot of food stored, but I felt like that food was low quality food, at least in terms of gourmet world standards. So again, I was kind of surprised, but again, maybe because it's exotic, they were able to trade it, and because it's local food, it was sold at cheap prices. Anyhow, this panel at the end of this page, I just thought was, it made me chuckle, and it was perfect because how Sunny reacts is just classical Sunny, and I loved it. It was the perfect scenario and the perfect way Sunny would react. She, you see these like eye slugs, eye mud, these eye mud creatures, jump out, and then Sunny's just like, disgusting. These creatures are totally gross. It just made me laugh. Then we go on to the next page, and then we have again Zebra sticking to his character, and I think that's the epitome of a good manga author. He understands the eccentricities and uniqueness of each specific prominent character, and he plays it through. And that's how exactly Zebra would act. He says, get lost to these creatures. They just, boom, they run off. And the way he looks when he says it is just perfect, and it made me chuckle as well. Finally, we get to the bewitching food world. I keep saying the wrong thing. And I personally think it's very much like, well, not really. I was surprised in certain ways, but the general theme again of this Halloween-esque town, I thought it was spot on. You got all these strange Frankenstein-like creatures of different backgrounds, and it was just like, oh, what the heck is going on? These strange creatures out there. And I hate to say it, but I have to say it because it's just very obvious in my opinion. On page 8, you see a spread of all these strange creatures saying welcome, and in the center, right smack dab in the center, is this guy with these enormous nostrils, bigger than his freaking eyes. And it's like the joke is obviously, I get teased a lot about my nostrils, so I'm just gonna say, because it's so obvious, well, this guy is like my brother pretty much. Hardy har har. Okay, now that we're done with that, we go to the next stage, and I just think it's very funny. This whole thing with Sunny constantly grossed out. I smirked constantly when he was just like, "What the heck is this? What species is it from? What the hell are you talking about? And who is Numero Hion? Gross!" All his exclamations, and this whole thing was like. This whole thing with the Halloween town, I just found it spot on. These creatures, obviously, there's a lot of Japanese culture behind them. All the time, he mentions this. Komatsu's like, it's a Noporabu. Americans don't know what that is. Basically, it's a Japanese mythological monster. Turns out to be a faceless guy, but he's like, it's a gag thing. It's like a funny thing. I do have a face, but it's this small. So I think it's pretty funny. And I just really very much like the characters of this village. Just Halloween town. It's like a Halloween town. And so they go about in this village, and obviously like the cooks are pretty skilled. Like this guy can flip 2,000 of these once again Japanese cultural treats at once. And again, like I kind of didn't like the fact that a lot of this chapter, or at least the details, were very Japanese, in the fact that it's definitely not directed at a universal appeal. But I don't hate it. It's just it's definitely very, like, a lot of the foods, like the eyeball takoyaki, Americans don't know what that is. I literally had to look these up on Google each time I read through them. They look pretty amazing, but again, it was very Japanese-esque. And so they went through town, again, there's that gag thing with freaking Zebra, like, oh, I've mistaken you for a human, even though Zebra is human, he's just a creepy human. And then it seems like Milk has been in this town in the last, about a year and a half ago, which was right before he either died. No, he got defeated. I don't know if Milk died, but he got defeated, and he pretty much, it implied that he went to this town and taught this guy how to make a knife. It's interesting because although that pretty much implies that this guy's a boss knife maker as well. good, if not better than milk potentially. I don't know. And maybe all those knives are better or worse or equal level as Komatsu's special knife. We don't know. Obviously, Komatsu can't afford them right now. He doesn't really stress that too much. We see all these things like Coco go to like this armor weapon shop and a bandage shop, and he seems to be buying stuff. So that's foreshadowing later on when he's probably going to pull that out at the last second, like, haha, you think you won this fight, but I bought these black bandages, these what do you call them, dark bandages, and it saved me. And then finally, this whole the beauty thing just kind of grossed me out too. It was like this cosmetic shop. It's like 18 and over only, canned goods to make you beautiful. Obviously, I was a little suspicious. It seemed fishy as well. You can imagine how fishy Sunny was. Apparently he bought it still, again with what currency I don't know. And then when Sunny opens the can and there's this freaking miniature little human in there that can move and is naked and is in bed and then literally like covers herself in shame, that kind of freaked me out. It's like, if that actually happened in real life, that would disgust me to no end. I don't know what it is. It's just these little creatures who are almost as intelligent as us. It's a little bit freaky in the same way that elephants are freaked out by rats. And so for me, I guess it was this strange Japanese humor that I didn't really understand, because I did not really even get what this thing was. I guess it was some sort of joke, like, oh yeah, you can be beautiful by eating this living, breathing miniature human that can move and talk, or simply it was a play on the word beauty or makeup, and there's this little creature inside that literally is already beautiful. Anyhow, Sunny was freaked out as well, which I thought was pretty funny, and I was kind of freaked out by that too. It was kind of messed up, not really even in a cool way. Then the last 4 pages of this manga is they're going about eating all these crazy foods with that Halloween Bewitching Food World touch. They have Zusui. Again, all these foods seem to be Japanese. I won't call them delicacies, but prominent Japanese foods. Zusui is eyeball oji, and then they had this freaking I think this isn't real, but sticky fermented soybeans, also called the banana toe. So it seems to be literally stinky soybeans in the shell of a banana. I found that interesting. Soybeans aren't stinky, by the way, so it's kind of like a paradox. And so they're going through all this stuff, eating all this food. Again, I'm wondering where I assume they have some food currency to use. And every like 2 panels you see Tengu Baranchi getting more and more angry, which is kind of funny. This is definitely one of those lackadaisical chapters where it's just like a good time with a little bit of humor. And I very much like drinking liquids. I very much like liquids, not so much alcohols, even though there's so many different alcohols, but like different types of liquids, from apple cider to soda to water, different juices. I very much like drinking as much as I like eating. They are 2 of my great hobbies. They taste good, the food looks awesome, which is one of the reasons why I love Toriko as a manga. But then they decided to go to the Bewitching food bar, which I thought was amazing. All you really see though is this like they're drinking this food, and Coco has this weird cup, which I'm assuming he bought with what money I don't know, called the Ghost All Late, which seems to be like a French name, and it seems to be like a teacup with like little gals flying out of the cup, which was pretty cool. And the caption says, was created by Cheesecake Tartsan from Saitama. And so they're drinking this alcohol, and then I'm reminded that Komatsu's like 21 years old. Again, it's a play on how Komatsu is, because obviously he's not drawn like a 21-year-old. He's drawn like a 15-year-old, or maybe a little bit older, younger, like 14-year-old. Um, but it's interesting because apparently Toriko is the same age, and it's a disparity because probably all four Heavenly Kings are around 21, 22, which is a disparity because like everyone else who's more stronger than them are like 500 years old. So it's a strange disparity, and it also means that they're going to get a lot stronger given their youth. And so finally, the last panel is just Tengu Buranshi with this, "What the heck is taking you guys so long? How long do you expect me to keep waiting? Hurry up and get your asses over here. And you expect me, and what do you mean you're leaving? Blah, 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 blah." It's kind of funny, and then they're like, ha ha ha. And so the gag slash lackadaisical welcome chapter ends, and I can't wait to do a review on 281, which is out already. Stay tuned for that. And as always, if you like this video, hit the like button, favorite it, and hit the subscribe button. It's free, and then you can share this with your friends, especially your friends you think like this sort of stuff, and subscribing will let you know when my next video is out. And I thought it was really cool. This last page, honestly, like there's that one panel where Komatsu's like, well, the whole gang's around these bottles of like very strange alcohols, like 20 or so empty glasses of all sorts, and they're like all colored differently. Some have like skull and bones on them. So I found it's just a very I'm just admiring how it was drawn. It's just very well drawn. And also Komatsu, by the way, like after the time skip, he was definitely intentionally drawn older, but then I feel like the author has decided to revert Komatsu back to how he was drawn before, which was this more younger 15-year-old character, because I am almost certain that when he first came back after the time skip, he was drawn as more mature, a lot taller, and definitely different. But I guess it's back to the old ways. And again, I'm just admiring this last page. I thought it was really well done, and obviously Tengu Buranshi has his, he should be rightfully mad, because these guys are kind of stupid. They're like, "Oh yeah, we've had all this fun, I'm drunk, maybe we should head back." Like they just came to the bar and now they're headed back home, and they completely forgot that they were in the gourmet world, which is kind of strange, but we'll see what happens. By the way, have you guys not noticed that freaking, oh, there's actually, oh no, this is 281 page 1. Okay, I thought there was an extra page I missed. So have you guys noticed that Zebra seems really strong? He's hinting at how strong he is. Like, despite Toriko advancing so much in the gourmet world, there have been lots of hints that Zebra is pretty darn strong, from that, that encounter with those cloud demons before the maze adventure, and then when he came to the Bewitching Food World, and he's just like, get lost to those eye mud creatures. Like, I feel like he's really, really strong. Probably still the strongest out of the kings, which I like. I very much like Zebra as a character, and I hope he gets stronger, because during the Food Coliseum arc, he was weak in my opinion. He lost almost immediately to that one character who was under the control of Neo, which I found quite sad. Like, he was literally stopped in one move by I forgot his name, but I think it was Teppei-san. He used like one technique. He just pulled out a few seeds and it rooted Zebra to the spot. I don't know if Neo, like DBZ's Majin symbol, enhances the strength of the character if he's being mentally controlled, but I don't think so. And the fact that Teppei definitely has stronger seeds and stronger plants to use to fight means that, like, he wasn't even trying and he just beat Zebra. So I found that kind of sad, because right before he got beaten by Teppei, he was like destroying like 3 or 4 of these like advanced level Nitro. And at the time, they were new Nitro that had never before been seen. Winged Nitro. Like, for the first time, we saw winged Nitro. Although they were caged and imprisoned by Midora, which meant that Midora was stronger, the whole idea that they were winged meant they were so strong, and the fact that Zebra just comes in and like defeats like 3 of them at once, it was kind of sad about this whole thing. So regardless though, I'm staring at 281, and so I want to do a review on that, and so stay tuned for that review. And as always, if you want to help, please get me more subscribers. Tell people you think will be interested in my channel. That is the best encouragement. Other than more views, those are the two big things that encourage me to make videos. So if you like videos that are weekly, that's how you can help. As always, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace.